My fiancée told me her friends think I'm not impressive enough, so I ended the engagement in silence. 2 weeks later, her friend called me at 2 a.m., sobbing. I'm Justin, 34, and 3 weeks ago, I was engaged to a woman who decided I wasn't good enough for her circle of friends. The relationship ended in the most bizarre way imaginable, but let me back up and give you the full picture. I'd been with Vanessa for 4 years, engaged for 6 months. We met through mutual friends at a summer barbecue, back when I was 30. She worked in PR for a mid-sized firm downtown. I did project coordination for a logistics company. Not exactly glamorous work, but the pay was solid and the benefits were decent. I wasn't setting the world on fire career-wise, but I wasn't struggling either. Comfortable middle-class life, you know? For those first few years, things were genuinely good. We took trips together. Nothing crazy expensive, but we'd hit up national parks, road trip down the coast, that kind of thing. We had the same sense of humor, could spend entire weekends just hanging out without needing some elaborate plan. She got along with my friends, I got along with hers. We talked about the future in that casual way couples do when they're serious, but not in a rush. Kids someday, maybe a house with a yard, the standard stuff. When I proposed, it felt right, natural. I'd saved up for a decent ring, nothing outrageous but respectable. She cried when I got down on one knee at this overlook we'd hiked to. Posted about it on social media immediately, which I expected. Her friends all commented with congratulations and heart emojis. Everything seemed perfect. Her friends always seemed fine on the surface when I was around. Pleasant enough, asked me questions, included me in conversations. But over time, I started noticing patterns. They had this habit of talking about money and status way more than felt normal to me. Every conversation somehow found its way back to who was making what salary, who got promoted to what position, what kind of car someone's boyfriend just leased, which neighborhood had the best property values. At first, I thought maybe it was just how people in their industry talked, PR and marketing types keeping score. But it was constant. Vanessa had about 6 close friends she'd known since college. They did girls' nights every other week, went on weekend trips together, had this tight little group chat that was constantly buzzing. I never had a problem with it. Relationships need space and separate friend groups. But I noticed that after she'd spend time with them, she'd come home kind of different, more focused on what other people had, more likely to mention that so-and-so's boyfriend took them to this expensive restaurant or bought them some designer bag. One time, maybe 8 months into our engagement, we were at her friend Brittany's birthday party. Nice place, good food, normal party stuff. But the whole night, the conversation kept circling back to engagements and weddings. Who had the biggest ring? Whose wedding venue was more impressive? Who was honeymooning? Where I remember this one girl showing off her ring and talking about how her fiancé had custom designed it and spent months' salary on it. Everyone oohed and awed. Then they asked to see Vanessa's ring. She showed it. And I swear I saw this moment where she hesitated. Like she was suddenly self-conscious about it. It was a nice ring, a full carat, white gold band, nothing to be embarrassed about. But in that room, compared to what some of these other women were sporting, I guess it wasn't flashy enough. One of the girls, I think her name was Ashley, said something like, "Oh, that's nice. Very classic." The way she said classic sounded like she meant boring. I didn't think much of it at the time. Figured it was just typical social comparison nonsense. But looking back, that might have been when the seed got planted in Vanessa's head. The breaking point hit on a Wednesday night 3 weeks back, completely ordinary evening. Nothing special about it. I'd gotten off work around 6, stopped by her favorite Thai place to grab takeout pad Thai for her, drunken noodles for me, spring rolls to share. Showed up at her apartment around 6:30. The second I walked in, I could tell something was off. She was on the couch with her laptop, barely looked up when I came through the door. Usually she'd at least pause what she was doing, give me a kiss, ask about my day. This time, nothing. Just a distracted hey and her eyes back on the screen. I set up the food on her kitchen counter, grabbed plates, started unpacking everything. Called out asking if she wanted to eat at the table or on the couch. She said she didn't care, her voice flat. So I brought everything to the coffee table, sat down next to her. She closed her laptop but kept her phone in her hand, checking it every 30 seconds. We ate in weird silence for a few minutes. I tried asking about her day, got short answers. Tried mentioning something funny that happened at work, got a half smile that didn't reach her eyes. Something was clearly wrong, but she wasn't volunteering it. Finally, I just put down my fork and asked directly, "What's going on? You've been acting strange since I got here." She set down her food too. Didn't look at me. I had lunch with the girls today. "Okay," I said. "How was it?" She kind of sighed. This heavy sound like I was already making things difficult. They were asking about the wedding, about you, about our plans. Something in her tone made my stomach tighten. "What about me?" "They were just asking normal questions," she said, still not making eye contact. "What you do for work, what your family's background is, what kind of future we're building. You know, typical stuff friends ask. And honestly, Justin, they brought up some concerns. They think I could do better, that I may be settling. They said I should be aiming higher." The words just hung there in the air for a second. "Your friends think you're settling by marrying me?" "Not in those exact words," she said, finally looking at me. "But they do think you're not as ambitious as you could be, that your career is kind of stagnant. And the more I've thought about it since lunch, maybe they have a valid point." "Oh, valid point about what?" "About whether we're truly compatible for the long term," she said, and now the words were coming faster, like she'd been holding them in. "I want more out of life, Justin. I want to travel first class, not economy. I want to live in a neighborhood people are impressed by. I want our kids in private schools, not public. Can you honestly provide that kind of lifestyle? The cold settled into my chest right then. I make good money, Vanessa. We've talked about all this before. You never said any of it was a problem. I know, but talking to my friends made me realize I haven't been thinking big enough. They think I should be with someone more impressive. Someone who makes them jealous, not someone who makes them ask, what does he even do? So your friends don't think I'm impressive enough, I said slowly. And now you agree with them. I'm just being honest about my concerns. I nodded. Okay then. Go ahead and aim higher. She looked surprised. What? If you think you can do better than me, go ahead and try. I'm not sitting here auditioning to prove I'm good enough for you or your friends. Either you want to marry me or you don't. Pretty simple, Justin. Don't be dramatic. I'm not being dramatic. I'm being clear. You just told me I'm not impressive enough and that you're settling. So don't settle. We're done. Wait, you're breaking up with me over this? I'm trying to have an honest conversation. No, I said. You're telling me I'm not good enough while expecting me to somehow convince you otherwise. I'm not doing that. You can have the ring back tomorrow. I left her apartment and drove back to mine in complete silence. Didn't turn on the radio, didn't call anyone, just drove through the dark streets thinking about what had just happened. Got home around 9, walked into my apartment, didn't even turn on most of the lights. Just sat on my couch in the dark living room for close to 2 hours. My mind was going through everything. 4 years together. All the trips, the inside jokes, the plans we'd made. Meeting her parents for the first time. That awkward dinner where I was so nervous. The time we drove 8 hours to visit my family and her car broke down halfway there. Coming home to her apartment after bad days at work and just decompressing together, all of it real. Or so I'd thought. But apparently none of it was enough. I wasn't impressive enough. My career wasn't flashy enough. I didn't make her friends jealous. 4 years reduced to I should aim higher. Around 11 p.m., something switched in my brain. From hurt to just done, completely done. I wasn't going to sit around hoping she'd change her mind or come to her senses. I wasn't going to try to prove myself or work on convincing her I was worth marrying. If she thought she could do better, great. Go do better. I got up, turned on the lights, grabbed my laptop, and started going through emails. Every wedding vendor I could find that I'd corresponded with. I'd paid for about 70% of the wedding expenses since we'd agreed Vanessa would save her money for the honeymoon. That meant most vendors had my credit card on file as the primary payment method. First was the venue. This place, about an hour outside the city, nice gardens, indoor-outdoor setup, had availability for our date next month. I found their contact info. Called the emergency number since it was late. Explained I needed to cancel the wedding reservation. They were sympathetic but firm about the deposit being non-refundable. Fine, I said. Cancel it. Lost $3,000 right there, didn't care. Then the caterer. Sent an email at midnight explaining the wedding was off and we needed to cancel the contract. They responded first thing Thursday morning, confirming cancellation. Another $1,500 gone from a deposit. The photographer. Cancelled. Lost the deposit there too, but honestly at that point, I wasn't even tracking the money anymore. Florist. Cancelled DJ. Cancelled. The woman who was going to do the wedding cake. Cancelled. The shuttle service we'd booked for guests. Cancelled. I went through my email systematically. Every single vendor that had my information. Every service we'd booked. Some I canceled that night. Others I sent emails to and followed up with calls. Thursday morning. By Thursday afternoon, I'd canceled everything I'd personally paid for or had my name attached to. The engagement ring was a different matter. $8,000 I'd saved up for over a year. Cut back on eating out, skipped a vacation, worked some overtime. Bought this ring that I thought represented our future. Thursday morning, I drove to the jeweler, walked in, told them I needed to return it. The guy behind the counter looked sympathetic. They had a 90-day return policy with a 20% restocking fee. Ran my receipt, processed everything. Handed me a check for $6,500. I stood there in the parking lot just looking at that check, thinking about how I'd been so excited buying that ring 6 months ago. How sure I'd been. How wrong I'd been about what I thought we had. Then I texted Vanessa. Ring is returned. All wedding vendors I paid for are canceled. You're free to aim higher now. She called immediately. I didn't pick up. She called 18 more times that day. Then started texting from her friends' phones. I'm so sorry. Please talk to me. We can fix this. I made a mistake. I blocked every number she tried. The first week after sending that text was completely surreal. Vanessa tried everything to reach me. Called from different numbers after I blocked hers. Sent me messages through Instagram, Facebook, even tried LinkedIn, which was honestly desperate. Showed up at my apartment building twice that I know of. Maybe more times when I wasn't home. Left notes on my car windshield. Sent me long emails that I deleted without reading past the subject line. Our mutual friends got dragged into it immediately. Some reached out asking what happened, if we could work it out, saying Vanessa was devastated and I should at least hear her out. Others quietly reached out to say they thought I'd made the right call. Chris, my best friend from college, came over that first Saturday with pizzas and just let me vent about everything. Didn't judge, didn't offer unsolicited advice, just listened. When I was done, he said anyone who makes you audition for their love isn't worth having. That stuck with me. The friend group split pretty cleanly. Half thought I'd massively overreacted and thrown away 4 years over one heated conversation. The other half thought Vanessa had revealed her true priorities, and I dodged a nightmare. The ones who thought I'd overreacted slowly stopped reaching out after I made it clear I wasn't changing my mind or reconsidering. The ones who supported the decision stuck around. What I didn't realize at the time, and only found out later from Chris, was that Vanessa hadn't actually told anyone the real reason we'd broken up. She was still posting on social media about wedding planning, still sharing Pinterest boards for reception decorations, still commenting on other people's engagement announcements with stuff like, "Can't wait for my big day," like we were still together and everything was fine. Chris found this out because he knew one of her bridesmaids, Brittany, from his old job. They ran into each other at a coffee shop maybe 10 days after the breakup, and Brittany asked if he was still planning to come to our wedding. Chris was confused, told her we'd broken up weeks ago. Brittany looked genuinely shocked, said that wasn't what Vanessa was telling people. According to Vanessa's version, I was just going through something stressful at work, and we'd mutually agreed to take a short break to let things cool down. The wedding was still on, she'd told her bridesmaids. I just needed some space to work through whatever I was dealing with. Chris told me about this conversation at the gym. We were working out, I was mid-set on the bench press and he just casually mentioned it. I nearly dropped the bar on my chest. Wait, she's still planning the wedding? That's what Brittany said, Chris confirmed. Seemed genuinely confused when I told her you guys had actually ended things. Said Vanessa's been actively planning, talking about dress shopping, finalizing the guest list, all of it. I sat there on the bench trying to process that information. The level of denial was staggering. We'd explicitly broken up. I'd canceled everything I'd paid for, returned an $8,000 ring, sent her a clear text, and she was out there pretending it was just a temporary pause, acting like I'd cool off and come back. 2 weeks after the breakup, I'd honestly started feeling normal again. Threw myself into work, picked up extra projects, started hitting the gym consistently, something I'd let slide during the relationship, made plans with friends I'd been neglecting. Life was settling into a new routine, a new version of normal without her in it. I'd stopped thinking about Vanessa every waking hour. Some days I'd go several hours without her crossing my mind at all. Then that Saturday night happened, and everything exploded again. Her bachelorette party had been scheduled months in advance for that specific weekend. Nashville, whole girls trip thing planned from Thursday through Sunday, 6 of her closest friends. Fancy hotel downtown, bar crawls and brunch reservations, and whatever else they'd planned. I'd completely forgotten it was even happening. Until Chris mentioned it earlier in the week, I figured once the reality of the breakup actually sank in, she'd have canceled the trip. But apparently not only did she not cancel it, she went through with the whole thing. At 2:47 in the morning on Saturday night of her bachelorette party weekend, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost sent it to voicemail, but something made me answer. "Hello? Justin, it's Lauren, Vanessa's maid of honor." She was crying so hard I could barely make out the words. "Lauren, what's wrong? I need to tell you something. I can't let Vanessa do this to you. Oh my God, I feel physically sick about this." "Slow down. Do what? What are you talking about?" "The bachelorette party. We're in Nashville. Vanessa's been celebrating all night and she just told us everything about why you actually broke up, about what she said to you. And then she told us her plan." My stomach dropped. "What plan?" "Justin, she's not accepting the breakup. She thinks if she just continues planning the wedding and shows up at the venue on the actual wedding date, you'll go through with it. Because you won't want to embarrass her in front of everyone." I sat up in bed. "What are you talking about? She rebooked everything. The venue, the caterer, all the stuff you canceled. She's been using her credit cards and borrowing money from her parents. She told us tonight that she knows you were just upset and that when the actual wedding day comes, you'll show up because you love her. She said she's not letting you throw away what you have over one stupid comment." "Lauren, we broke up. I explicitly told her we were done." "I know," she said, crying harder. "That's why I'm calling you. She's delusional, Justin. She genuinely thinks if she just acts like everything is fine, it will be. And her friends here, these girls, they're encouraging it. They keep saying you'll come around, that guys get cold feet all the time, that she just needs to be persistent." I felt ice water in my veins. "Where is Vanessa right now?" "Passed out in the hotel room." But before she passed out, she said something else. Something that made me want to throw up. "What?" Lauren was full on sobbing now. She said, "If you don't show up to the wedding, she'll tell everyone you were abusive, that she'll make up a story about why the wedding got canceled that makes you look like a monster. She said no one will blame her then. They'll just feel sorry for her and you'll be the bad guy." The room started spinning. She said that? Out loud? Yes. And I have proof. I've been screenshotting her messages to the bridesmaids group chat all week because something felt really wrong. She's been saying insane things that you'll come around, that you're just being stubborn, that you'd never actually humiliate her by not showing up. And then tonight, she literally said if you don't show up, she'll just tell everyone you were controlling, and she had to call it off that no one will blame her. "Send me everything," I said. "Every screenshot. Right now. I'm sending them as we speak." "Justin, I'm so sorry. I should have said something sooner. I've been uncomfortable with her behavior all week, but I didn't realize how bad it had gotten until tonight. This isn't okay. What she's planning isn't okay." The screenshots started flooding my phone. Message after message from their bridesmaids group chat. I sat there reading through them, feeling sicker with each one. "Justin will come around. He's just being dramatic right now. He always overthinks things. He'll show up on the day because he won't want to humiliate me in front of 150 people. If he doesn't show, I'll just tell everyone he was controlling during our relationship, and I'm the one who finally called it off. No one will question it. Everyone will support me. I already told my parents he's going through a tough time at work. They believe it. Everyone believes me." The messages went on and on. Vanessa convincing herself that the wedding was still happening, convincing her friends that I'd show up, planning what to do if I didn't. Every word was like ice in my veins. There were also screenshots of Vanessa looking up vendors, rebooking things, charging thousands of dollars to her credit cards. Screenshots of her texting her mom asking to borrow money for wedding expenses. Her mom asking if I wasn't helping pay. Vanessa responding that I was dealing with work stress and she didn't want to burden me. The lies were extensive, calculated. Not just denial, but active manipulation of everyone around her to maintain the illusion that we were still together. Thank you for calling me, I told Lauren. Seriously, this could have gone really bad if you hadn't. What are you going to do? Protect myself. Make sure she can't actually do any of this. After we hung up, I couldn't sleep. Sat there scrolling through the screenshots over and over, trying to wrap my head around the level of delusion I was dealing with. This wasn't just someone in denial about a breakup. This was someone constructing an elaborate alternate reality and threatening to destroy my reputation if reality didn't cooperate. Sunday morning at 8 a.m., I called a lawyer. My uncle's a lawyer, but he does corporate stuff, so he referred me to a colleague who handles personal matters. Got the guy on the phone, apologized for calling on a Sunday, explained the entire situation. He listened carefully, asked me to forward him all the screenshots. He called back an hour later. Okay, here's the situation, he said. Technically, she hasn't done anything illegal yet. Planning to lie isn't the same as actually lying, but her threat to falsely accuse you of abuse could potentially be defamation if she follows through, and you'd have grounds for a civil suit. The screenshots showing premeditation would be very valuable evidence. What should I do? Document absolutely everything, he said. Save every text, every email, every screenshot. Don't delete anything. Keep a detailed timeline of events. If she does follow through with false accusations, you'll need all of this. Also, I'd recommend getting ahead of this with her family if possible. If they're reasonable people and they understand what's happening, they may be able to intervene before things escalate further. That made sense. As much as I didn't want to involve her parents, they deserve to know what their daughter was planning. And maybe, hopefully, they could talk some sense into her. Then I made the call I'd been dreading. Vanessa's dad answered on the third ring. Mr. Bishop, it's Justin. I need to talk to you about something serious. Justin. His voice was warm, friendly, unaware of what was coming. Good to hear from you. Vanessa mentioned you two were working through some issues. Everything all right with you? The fact that she'd even told her parents we were working through issues, instead of admitting we'd broken up, made my blood boil. No, sir. Everything is not all right. I need to be very direct with you. Vanessa and I broke up 3 weeks ago. I ended the relationship and canceled our wedding. But she's been telling people, including you apparently, that we're still together. And she's rebooked all the wedding vendors using your money and hers. There was a long, heavy silence on the other end of the line. She told us you were taking a break, that you needed some space because of work stress. We're not taking a break, I said firmly. We're broken up. She told me I wasn't impressive enough for her and her friends. When I ended things, she refused to accept it. Now she's in Nashville at her bachelorette party, telling her bridesmaids that if I don't show up to a wedding I never agreed to, she's going to claim I was abusive during our relationship. Justin, that's an extremely serious accusation you're making. I have proof, I said. Her maid of honor called me at 3 in the morning. Because she was so disturbed by what Vanessa was saying, I have screenshots of everything from their group chat. Vanessa has been planning this for weeks. She's either going to force me into marrying her, or she's going to destroy my reputation with false abuse allegations. I wanted you to hear this directly from me before things get worse. Can you send me these screenshots? I forwarded everything to his email while we were still on the phone. Heard him clicking through his computer. The long silence as he read through message after message. When he finally spoke again, his voice had changed completely. Flatter. Older somehow. Give me a few hours, he said. I need to talk to my daughter. And my wife. I'll call you back. He called back 2.5 hours later. I'd been pacing my apartment the whole time. Couldn't sit still. Couldn't focus on anything. When my phone finally rang, I grabbed it immediately. I spoke with Vanessa, Mr. Bishop said. He sounded exhausted. She's not in a good place, Justin. She admitted she's been in denial about the breakup. She claims she wouldn't actually make false accusations about you, that she was just upset and talking out of anger and hurt. She says she said things she didn't mean. With all due respect, sir, I said carefully, people say what they really mean when they're upset. The filter comes off. I can't trust that she won't actually follow through with this. These aren't just random comments. She's been planning this systematically. She's been lying to everyone for weeks. I understand, he said. I completely understand your position. My wife and I are bringing her home from Nashville today. We're going to have a serious family meeting about this situation. I'm also going to personally contact every wedding vendor and make sure everything is definitively canceled this time. You have my word on that. And Justin? Yes, sir. For what it's worth, I think Vanessa made a terrible mistake. You've always treated her with respect. You've always been good to our family. I'm genuinely sorry it ended this way. And I'm sorry about what she's put you through these past few weeks. I appreciated that, I told him. Thank you for believing me and for taking this seriously. Of course, if she tries to contact you again, let me know immediately. We're going to get her some help. Vanessa's parents followed through on everything. Mr. Bishop personally called every vendor and canceled every reservation Vanessa had rebooked. He also apparently staged what Lauren later described as an intense family intervention. Both parents, Vanessa, her older brother, who I'd only met a handful of times. They made her come clean about everything. The lies, the planning, the threats she'd made her admit the truth to herself and to them. Lauren kept me updated through text over the next several days. The friend group was imploding spectacularly. Once Vanessa was forced to tell everyone the actual truth about why we'd broken up and what she'd been planning, the reaction was swift and brutal. Lauren and Brittany both immediately distanced themselves from Vanessa. They were disgusted, Lauren told me. Not just by the false accusation threats, but by the manipulation of everyone around her. The elaborate lies. The using her parents' money to rebook a wedding that wasn't happening. The level of delusion required to think she could force someone into marriage. The other 4 bridesmaids had varying reactions. 2 of them felt embarrassed and deceived that they'd been helping plan a fake wedding. They'd invested time, money, emotional energy into supporting what they thought was a friend's actual wedding. Finding out it was all based on denial and lies made them feel used. The other 2 bridesmaids, and this honestly didn't surprise me, were the ones who'd been encouraging Vanessa's delusions the whole time. The ones telling her I'd come around, that she just needed to be persistent. When everything came out, they tried to defend their position, saying they were just being supportive friends. Lauren shut that down hard, apparently told them there's a difference between supporting a friend and enabling destructive behavior. That what Vanessa had been planning wasn't romantic persistence. It was manipulative and potentially criminal. The whole friend group fractured. Group chat died. Plans got canceled. Years of friendship destroyed because no one had been willing to tell Vanessa she was completely out of line until it was too late. Vanessa's reputation in her wider social circle took a massive hit too. In a city this size, that kind of drama doesn't stay contained. The bridesmaids talked to their other friends. Those friends talked to their friends. Within a week, anyone who was even peripherally connected to Vanessa's social circle knew some version of what had happened. The details got distorted in some retellings, I'm sure, but the core story remained the same. Woman tells fiancé he's not impressive enough. Fiancé leaves. Woman refuses to accept reality and threatens false abuse claims I heard through Chris that some of Vanessa's co-workers found out. That had to be mortifying for her, given she worked in PR where reputation is everything. Hard to manage other people's images when your own has imploded so spectacularly. 4 days after the Nashville incident, I woke up to a 10-paragraph email from Vanessa in my inbox. I almost deleted it without reading, but curiosity got the better of me. It was a mess. Half genuine sounding apology, half excuse making and justification. Lots of stuff about how she'd been confused, influenced by the wrong people, not thinking clearly. She claimed she'd never actually have made false accusations, that it was just angry talk she didn't mean. She admitted she'd been in denial about the breakup. She said she understood now that we were truly over. She asked if we could meet for coffee, just once, to get some closure and part on better terms. I read it twice, sat with it for about 10 minutes, then deleted it without responding. There was nothing to say. Nothing to gain from rehashing everything. Closure is something you give yourself, not something you get from the other person. A week after that email, Chris told me he'd heard through the grapevine that Vanessa had started working with a counselor. Her parents had apparently made it a condition of continuing to help her financially, given the severity of what had happened. Good for her, I thought. She clearly needed professional help to work through whatever was driving that level of denial and manipulation. But it wasn't my problem anymore. Wasn't my responsibility to care about her healing process or personal growth. That ship had sailed the moment she told me I wasn't impressive enough. The weirdest part of everything was how many people came out of the woodwork to tell me I'd made the right call. Friends I hadn't talked to in years reached out. Even Vanessa's cousin, who I'd maybe met twice, sent me a message saying she'd always thought Vanessa was way too focused on status and appearances. It felt validating, but also made me wonder how many people had been thinking that the whole time we were together. It's been 2 months now since that Wednesday night breakup conversation. I'm doing well. Surprisingly well, actually. Better than I expected to be doing. Work's been busy, which has helped keep my mind occupied. Got assigned to a new major project at the logistics company, coordinating shipments for a huge retail client's holiday season. Long hours, but good money, and it keeps me from overthinking. I've been hitting the gym consistently, something I'd let slide during the relationship. Going 5, sometimes 6 days a week now. Not trying to become some fitness model or anything. Just feels good to have a routine, to see progress in something tangible. Bench press is up 20 pounds from where I started. Small victories, but they matter. Reconnected with a bunch of friends I'd kind of neglected while I was with Vanessa too. Chris and I hang out at least twice a week now. Picked up playing basketball again with some guys from work on Thursday nights. Started a fantasy football league. Just normal life stuff that somehow fell by the wayside when I was so focused on building a future with someone who didn't actually want that future with me, Lauren. And I stayed in touch, just as friends. She still feels guilty about not speaking up sooner about Vanessa's behavior, about all the red flags she noticed but didn't mention. I keep telling her she has absolutely nothing to feel guilty about. She made that call when it really counted, at 3 in the morning, knowing it would blow up her entire friend group. That took serious courage. She potentially saved me from a nightmare scenario where Vanessa actually went through with those threats. I'll always be grateful for that. Vanessa moved to a different city about 3 weeks ago, according to Lauren. Got a job transfer to her company's office in another state. I think she was too embarrassed to stay here after everything that went down and became public knowledge. When that kind of story spreads in a city this size, you become known for it. You can't escape it at the grocery store, at the gym, at happy hour spots. Everyone knows. Everyone whispers. Moving away was probably the smartest thing she could have done for herself. The story definitely got around, but not because I told people. I specifically didn't. Didn't post about it on social media, didn't blast her to mutual friends, didn't try to control the narrative. But the bridesmaids talked, as people do. And in a city of this size, connected through overlapping social circles and workplaces, that kind of dramatic story spreads fast. Within 3 weeks, seemed like everyone who knew either of us had heard some version of events. Last week, I ran into one of Vanessa's friends at a coffee shop near my apartment. Actually, the specific friend who apparently started the whole "is he ambitious enough" conversation. At that lunch, Ashley, I think her name was. I was waiting for my order when she approached me, looking uncomfortable. "Justin, hey, can I talk to you for a second?" "Sure," I said, genuinely curious what she wanted. "I just wanted to apologize for what I said to Vanessa about you, about whether you were ambitious enough for her lifestyle. It was shallow and judgmental, and I was way out of line. I didn't think she'd actually take it that seriously. And I definitely didn't think everything would explode the way it did." "What exactly did you say to her?" I asked. She looked even more uncomfortable. "I asked if she thought you were really ambitious enough for the kind of life she wanted, whether you could provide the lifestyle she'd always dreamed of. It was stupid and cruel, and I was projecting my own relationship insecurities onto you guys. Vanessa's always been a little insecure about how she measures up to people, about her status, and I think I fed right into that. I feel terrible about what happened. Did you know she was planning to go ahead with the wedding anyway?" "No," she said quickly. "I swear I didn't know about that until after the Nashville trip. When I heard what she'd threatened about making false abuse allegations, I was absolutely horrified. That's not okay. That's never okay." "No, it's not," I agreed. "For what it's worth," Ashley said, "I think she really did love you. She just got it in her head that she needed to be with someone more flashy, someone more impressive on paper, to prove something to people. To her friends? To herself? I don't know. But it was never actually about you not being enough. It was about her own issues. I appreciate you saying that." I told her sincerely. "And thanks for the apology. That takes guts." She nodded and left. I sat there with my coffee for a while after, thinking about what she'd said. Vanessa loved me, sure, in her way, but not enough to defend me when her friends questioned whether I was good enough. Not enough to be proud of what we actually had, instead of chasing some fantasy of a more impressive life. That kind of love just isn't enough. It's not sustainable. It's not real partnership. I'm not bitter about it anymore. Mostly just relieved. Relieved I found out before we actually got married. Relieved that Lauren made that call. Relieved I didn't waste more years with someone who saw me as a status symbol instead of an actual partner. The money from returning the engagement ring is sitting in a savings account. Not sure what I'll do with it yet. Maybe take a trip somewhere I've always wanted to go. Maybe just leave it there as a reminder that I made the right choice walking away. Vanessa's parents actually sent me a card last week. Just a short note apologizing for everything and thanking me for handling the situation with maturity. That was unexpected, but appreciated. Shows they recognize how messed up the whole thing was.